D, you're up.
Hey, welcome everybody. Excited to be co-hosting the Remotely Music Series number 3. A couple rules of the road as we get started and turn it back over to Brian here. Please keep yourself muted. Should go without saying on any Zoom appearance, but we'll be keeping an eye out in case you forget. We'll have 2 opportunities here tonight for your questions. Keep them coming in chat and be thinking of random numbers for our second presentation of the meditation here. So in the tradition of aleatoric music, think about really random generations. You've got other ways to generate random numbers with you. Think of 5 random digits. Get that going while we're listening to the first part. So Brian, back to you.
Cool. All right. Thank you everyone for coming to another remote. I gotta remember my camera's up here. Remotely Music Series. We've going to try this as much. I don't know if Matt Lind is on the line, but he was a fan and he was pushing hard for us to try to embrace the constraints of the internet speed and actually to try to perform live for you guys. Despite that, so that inspired me to write this next piece, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the piece afterwards. But we're gonna do 2 passes of the tune. I like seeing that someone is stirring a cocktail. That's Joshua. Yeah, of course. Excellent. So grab your drinks. Sound-wise, the sound is what it is. Zoom, most of these tools were not designed to do this kind of thing, so your sound may just sound funny, and there's not a whole lot we can do about that, but we're just asking you to kind of roll with us. It's tough for us too, and this piece is the piece is different, everything's different, it's all kind of new normal. So we're working on this, and we may make some changes to the audio situation and maybe not use Zoom in the future. But for now, this is what we got. So we're going to go ahead and just play this first one, and then we'll continue the conversation afterwards. So I would like you just to try to keep in mind, if you know people or if you are an essential worker or a care provider, just to keep these people in mind. That this piece was written for them in mind, and it's also inspired by our federal response to the coronavirus, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that more when we come back from the performance. So cool. So I'm just going to get my screen set up so I can see the guys, and we'll go from there. If you want just a tip, if you want to just watch the band, what you can do if you're on the desktop version of Zoom is just squish your window so it's narrow and tall, and it will stack the first 5 pictures, which are actually the band members. So if you'd like to just kind of watch us, that's fine. If you want to watch people make drinks, feel free to change your screen and do that. So I imagine there'll be some more of that. I see Matt Lawrence on the line, so he'll probably make something too. All right, cool. So here we go. You guys good? All right. Thunderous
Right on.
applause. You can totally hear. We can see the golf claps from everybody. Thank you so much for checking out this piece. So we're going to talk about this for a second. I don't know. Does anyone have any questions before we kind of jump into the second part here? I'm going to talk a little bit about the piece, but any initial reactions? If you have one, just tell Brian Dolan.
Send them in the
He's
chat. We'll
yeah
put them
in the
right through.
chat, and he'll call you up if you wanna. You can either come on screen and talk to us with audio video, or you can just have him pass along the question if you want.
Brian,
Either way
I got
works.
one from the crowd just to start it off, which is,
Sure.
so this piece you guys were playing, and I think you're going to explain a little bit about this, but based on some numbers that shows what everyone was playing,
Right.
and that started out with everybody's zip code. So what are the zip codes that everyone's playing against here?
So I was 02140, and I don't know what else you guys got, Mike and Kenny and
Okay, mine was 35209.
3522309. It's
I got
almost that song.
I got 03904, I think.
What was that? 904?
03904, yeah.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
I'm in New
01907.
York. Yeah, and Harlem is 10031.
10031. So we had lots of zeros actually in that one. So let me share any other questions. I'm going to show the piece and I'll kind of explain what these numbers have to do with everything. It's actually very apropos. This whole piece, it's like we're in a tornado watch here in Cambridge, Boston, which is unusual. And I see lightning outside. It's like kind of perfect in a way for what this piece is about. But let me share my screen. Brian, just feel free to interrupt me if there's another question.
Yeah, there is a question about from Steve Schmidt. What is the meter used in this piece, which I think is something you're about to explain. So that's a good one. Thank you, Steve.
I'm going to
Good
explain
setup.
that. So let me share my screen. 1 second. Oops. Let's see. I gotta figure out my. Got two screens here and all that good stuff. So okay, and share my screen. Share. Desktop one. Share. Okay. Did you guys see this? Does everyone
Yes.
see the music? Okay. So the concept for this piece, as I was kind of writing this, there's some puns here. So there's 9 sequences here, and all of the sequences have the same collection of notes. There's 8 notes, and these notes are based off of what's called an octatonic scale. It's an 8-note scale. So everyone's part is only selected from 8 different pitches, which are these pitches. So why did I pick that scale? Well, another name for this scale is diminished, and it's actually B. The key we're playing is B. So this is B diminished, and I thought like we are diminished right now in our capacity to deal with this. So that's where that came from, and there is no meter in this piece. So as you see, it says lento, which means slow in Italian, and it's unmetered. As I was writing this, I was thinking about how, this coronavirus stuff, and I don't want to make this like a big political statement or anything like that, but to me, there's no federal coordinated response in the United States to what's going on. So what we have are like every state doing its own thing, but we're all working our way to the end of this thing. And so that's what's going on here is my number was 02140. So what I did is I played the line 0 at the top. I played it 3 times, and then we would jump to the refrain, which is the bar in the middle of the screen there. Likewise, Genny might have been playing line 3, which is the first number of his zip code. And we're not lining, normally in music, the notes would be lining up vertically this way. We would be trying to stay together, so I don't know if you can see my cursor, but like if I'm playing this note here, then whoever's playing the line 1, the C here, would be playing roughly with me. And I actually intentionally moved some of the note spacing around because we're not actually coordinated this way. That's because of the internet issue, which is that you're all actually hearing this at different time. You're hearing it when Zoom decided to put it together. So we're all hearing this slightly differently because of the delay when you send the sound over the internet. Unfortunately, we can't control how the music is routed over the internet. So we might be going to a server in Virginia, and then to Florida, and then to California, and then back here, and it builds latency over time. And latency means lag time. So there's no way for me to play this note and have Tev hear it exactly at the time I do it. He's going to always hear it late. So meter went out the door. So we just had to let go of meter in our music. And so that's kind of the inspiration here. And then as I was playing with this, I was feeling like it needs to have gongs in it. So Wuhan is actually, I don't know if you guys can see the large tam here, which is this gong here. They're actually one of the famous places where tam-tams and gongs are made. So I set up all my gongs, and partly just because I was thinking about where the coronavirus started. But that's kind of the concept of the piece. And so the chance music here is that when we play this, it's not going to sound the same. It's never going to sound exactly the same time every time. So in the second rendering of the piece, we're going to actually
Alexa, stop.
What's that?
Sorry. Carry on.
Yeah. the second pass of the piece, we're going to solicit some zip codes from you or some random number collections from the audience, 5 people, and you guys can just pick who you want to assign it to. So someone can say, I want to control Jeremy. Jeremy can't be controlled, but someone will assign Jeremy a collection of numbers, and then he will interpret the piece. We're gonna play this one more time using the audience, and this aleatoric music was popular in the 20th century. This is not typically the kind of thing that we do. We do play a fair amount of improvisational music, and there is a little bit of that worked into this. But for me, it's been fun just to get my head into something again and to play with the guys. Even though what's funny is we're all actually not hearing the same thing. So my rendering that I remember from what I can remember from that is very disjointed. Is not the same as what everyone else's was. So.
Well, and you very creatively absorbed the latency problem into the piece itself, so that's very good.
Thank you. Yeah, yes, that was the goal, to just kind of embrace this for what it is and try it. So I don't know if maybe we'll do some more of this kind of thing, and we'll just have to see how it goes. So, are there any other questions about this that we can answer? As people are like, what the hell was that, right? I did want to ask, like, the band, I was just kind of curious, like, what was your take? So, feel free to just jump in, anyone in the ensemble, but the first time I presented this to you, like, your impression of it, and then now that we've actually done the first performance of it, like, kind of the before-after, I'm just curious, like, I think everyone was a little bit like, whoa, we're going to do this? So I'm just curious how everybody felt about it. Feel free to chime in. If you're on, you might be on mute, by the way.
Yeah, I've enjoyed the process. This is Mike, the bass player. I've enjoyed the process. Actually, the kind of unmeteredness of it and the aleatoric aspect of it is welcome and feels really good. The thing that feels particularly novel and to get used to is being alone in my room and having you guys on these tiny cans in my my headphones and feeling what that's like to make music like that.
Yeah,
it is a different experience than when we're in body, for sure.
Sure. I felt like it was definitely making me. I didn't look up. I don't know if you guys. I didn't look up at all. I'm reading on paper. I didn't read on the screen. So for me, it was really a chance to just really focus on trying to listen in, even though I think Zoom was getting in the way of some of this. I think just some of their processing was getting in the way of the actual stuff that was going on all the time. But for me, it was neat in that way, just to really kind of just use my senses, sound, and not really pay attention to visuals and trying to line stuff up. I felt like Tev and I often were on the same wavelength. We were often very close. I don't know, Tev, if you kind of felt that way too, but we seemed to be always.
I was actually trying. I felt like I was getting your cues for the refrains pretty easily, and so I was trying to. At one point, I felt like, okay, we're kind of in this this same sort of pattern where I'm sort of echoing you, or at least that's the way it felt to me.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to. At one point, I was trying to throw that off by going through it faster or slower to. Not be in the same spot relative to you,
Okay. Yeah. Jeremy, what do you think?
I realized, speaking of going faster and slower, I think I maybe went a little bit too fast through. So I typical of
like 2 minutes in.
typical of an amateur free improviser, went too fast. And I didn't indulge in the things that I could have. So looking forward to just taking my time the next time. There was also my favorite sonic part was I bowed the cymbal a couple times, and it happened to match some pitches that were going on, which I can't really control, but that was a fun surprise. So nice. I hope that happens again.
I heard that there's a high harmonic. I assume that was you.
Yeah.
Did it only sound the harmonic, or did you get the full cymbal sound, and all we got was the harmonic? Like, was it low end, or do you know how?
No, I think I was able to get the Well, we'll see. I don't know, but yeah, I was able to get some really high pitch, I think.
Yeah, I liked that a lot. There was a couple thunder, low end thunder. I don't know if anyone probably couldn't hear that, but when I was
Brian, I'm getting texts from Cambridge that's saying there's a cool delay between your thunder and their thunder. You know, not too far down the street. And one audience question here saying, hey, Brian, are you thinking of experimenting with this further? You know, for example, are you going to add further sections to provide some development? And by the way, you should stop the screen share so people can see you guys while you're talking. I think they'd love to see your smiling faces.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm not sure what's next for this. If it's like write some other stuff in the spirit of this, write a collection. I called it number 1 because I think when I sat down to write it, I felt like the story was not going to be over. It's not over. It's not going to be over anytime soon, even if we're reopening, which, you know, I hope everyone that's on this call will be here on the next time we do it. So my suggestion is don't go to any bars in Wisconsin right now. Yeah, I did call it number 1 because I felt like there's something else to come. But yeah, so part of it I'll look forward to. One thing we do, if you're most of you that signed up on the Zoom, at least I know we have people on Facebook. The Zoom people are on our mailing list, so I invite your responses, even if you hated this, if you loved it, or whatever it is, to send me feedback when the email goes out. We'll send out the recording link, and feel free to just share your thoughts about it, because this was totally inspired. I would not have done this unless someone had insisted on just kind of letting go of the fact that we can't play live. Everyone says you can't play live music over the internet. It's like, well, you can if you don't need a beat. If you don't need to line up meter and beat, then you can. And I just, because we play so much rhythmic music with meter in it, it's a huge part of the stuff that we do. I would not have probably done this, so feel free to chime in with ideas, because it definitely inspired us to try this. And that's kind of this whole remotely music series. We're figuring out what the next thing is, and yeah, so that's that.
I was hoping plugging Stuart Dempster and Pauline Oliveros a couple times to you in the first chat was planting a seed there. Maybe that took root.
They took it. Okay. Excellent. Any other questions before we maybe we'll go to the
one more, Brian, from Joshua Bell. Other than lag, did you adapt any of the music to other constraints of Zoom? Triangles getting clipped, you know, other sonic stuff.
Could you say the question? He can come on.
Yeah, Josh, feel free to unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can hear me. I was just wondering if you thought about any of the other constraints of Zoom. So obviously there's time lag, but during the performance, I think I noticed like the triangles getting a little bit clipped or something going on. So were there other choices that you made about the piece to simplify it, compress the note range or something so that it'd work better with Zoom?
Yeah, there's as much as so Zoom actually lets you shut off. There's some audio settings which normally in a meeting, like for a business meeting, you would want to have on echo cancellation and noise reduction and all these things that you don't see. They're operating in the background. We actually turn all that stuff off to try to get the most natural sound out of the microphones, but there's still some processing going on. So we had a challenge with Mike's bass, just simply, you know, if you want to play Mike just a sec, like it's like bong, and then it immediately disappears sometimes. And go ahead. Now it'll probably sound great. Yeah, so even there. You can kind of hear the bassist warbling, and he's not doing a vibrato with his left hand, which a string player often does. That's being added by Zoom. So we're going to look at some other platforms and stuff to see maybe if there's another better choice for audio on the audio side. But we like this format of being able to have you all as an audience here. It really changes the vibe for us, because we just can't perform, and it's, you know, if no one's listening to our music, there's not really a performance going on. And so I really like this part of it, but we'll keep looking into that. If anyone has suggestions, feel free to send them to us. But yeah, so there's not much we can do with the Zoom except what we've done already. So that's just kind of the way it is for now. But so yeah, any other questions?
I think that's it for now. You want to go with some random number assignments?
Yeah, why don't we get, we need to get, well, I'll let Brian coordinate this. Why don't you, I don't know, the first 5 people
Yeah,
send in a
we've
zip
had a
code.
bunch of submissions.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I'm gonna I've got probably more than we need here. I'm
Should
gonna
we
go
do a
through some of
chance
these
thing to figure out
at
how to select
random.
them? Oh, you're going to do it,
Yeah,
okay.
I'll just kind of go through semi-random here. Should we just
Okay.
go in order and assign it to folks?
Yeah, they should choose. I mean, if you're going to pick a number from someone, then tell them who they want to assign it to, and then we'll just write it down, and that'll be our roadmap. So.
Well, I've lost track of who's assigned what, so I'm just gonna pick at random here. Okay.
Okay.
How's that? So starting with what I'm seeing on my upper left, let's go with Michael.
Okay.
So Michael, you're gonna be 9, 2, 2, 6, 4. 9, 2, 2, 6, 4.
The old 922 intro, Mike.
Man,
Is that a thing?
I don't know if I can answer that. Let me practice for a minute.
Okay. And then Jenny will do, Jenny, I'm sorry,
Jenny.
forgot how this, Jenny, thank you. Let's do 4, 8, 0, 4, 4. Good? 4, 8, 0, 4, 4. Jeremy, we've got 0, 7, 1, 8, 2.
Somebody's in Massachusetts.
Yep. And for Tev, let's do 61706.
Oh, some 6s.
And then lastly, Brian, you're going to get 11372.
All right. 11372. Okay. All right. All right. Any other questions before we jump into this pass number 2? Are we good to go?
I think you're good to go. Let's hear
right.
this thing. It's going to be
All
great.
right, let's do it. Jeremy, you're muted, just FYI.
Thank
There we
you.
go. And if just again, if everyone else can mute, if you're not already, I think most people are, which is great. So. Okay. 11372. I don't like my numbers. No, just kidding. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Did they all leave? Oh wait, we're online. That's why we.
Robbie.
We're all still here.
Yeah. It's so weird just when it's silent like that, you know, for the performer, you know, just to not have that energy and feel the feedback. But anyhow, so that was that was the second meditation. So thank you for the audience members who contributed some numbers to help us with this second performance of the piece. Brian, I don't know if there were any other questions we could answer.
Yeah, a question from Steve Schmidt. I don't know if this is the Steve Schmidt that I know from Boston, but Steve wants to know if you're going to be sharing the score.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I can share the score. Yeah, just I can send it out or whatever. You can just email me for it if you want. Be happy to do that. What is Steve?
Yeah, right on. Oh, and I think Steve's saying to follow the players as they were playing. So a little late for this go round.
Oh yeah.
It would have been fun to read along.
Sorry. Yeah. Yes.
Next time.
Next time we'll do that. If there's a meditation number 2, we'll put up the score and you guys can follow along. I know we have some musicians in the audience, and it's okay if you're like, "What the heck is this?" That's okay. Just take it for what it is. It is a meditation, and probably not like maybe what you thought, but that's what it is. So.
Yeah, definitely some seconds on people interested in taking a look at the score.
Okay.
And maybe people can try it at home too. Get a local meditation going.
Excellent.
Brian, have you done anything that's been kind of free rhythm, arrhythmic, aleatoric before? Or is this like a totally new territory, constraint-based situation?
For compositions, it's new for me. I don't think I've written anything like this before. You know, in school, I'm sure Jeremy too. We both went to more classical backgrounds and stuff. Jeremy, you probably played some Cage and some other contemporary music. Yeah.
I
really
checked it off the list.
Yeah.
And I checked it off the list.
And here you are. Yeah, I haven't since college. I haven't performed any really since college. You know, occasionally I've played some gigs around town with some contemporary chamber stuff probably at some point. But in terms of writing, this is very atypical. You know, for people that are on here, obviously, many of you probably have our records. There's nothing on the records that sounds quite like this. So new territory for me. And it's hard not to feel like composer-wise, it's like, I don't want it just to feel totally scattered and it can just sound like, oh, it's complete chaos. And, you know, so I put these constraints around it and try to be intentional about the choices, because when it's kind of like infinity choices, you got to put some constraints on it. So that was my thing, is hoping that some kind of statement would be made when we performed it. So hopefully that came across.
Next question is, again, from Joshua. He says his son stopped by and wants to know what Tev's instrument is.
Oh yeah, Tev, you want to do a demo? I think I can pin Tev. Let's see. Pin video. There we go.
So yeah, this is called a Jurabob. It has a through neck design, and it's wood. The body is carved, and then it has a separate neck on top with all these sympathetic strings. I don't know if you can see it, but there's 3 melody strings that run on the main neck, and then there are I broke one string a little while ago, but there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there are 13 sympathetic strings. And I was playing on those strings. Sometimes I was playing on those sympathetic strings during the performance. And then there's 3 melodic strings, and then there are 3 drone strings, long drone strings that run on the main neck as well. So the 3 melodic strings have the tuners on the bottom side of the main neck, and then the drone strings are up here. Sympathetic strings are up here. And then the other sort of peculiar thing about this instrument, which you probably can't see at home, but there are the frets on the main neck. So the secondary neck has no frets because it's just like a harp. But the main strings on the main neck have these tie-on wraparound frets that are made of monofilament fishing wire, just like on a saz or some other instruments from the Middle East. And so the arrangement of those frets, it's equal tempered, but then there are frets, and they're all tunable, of course, too, like a tambour or a saz. And so that this main neck looks very similar to a saz in that there are frets that are in between the equal tempered frets that can be tuned to other pitches. I wasn't using them on this composition, but just to give you an example, there's a flat one that's outside of the sort of normal Western pitches. So this is a new instrument. There's a maker in Izmir, Izmir, Turkey, that made this for me. He's the only person, he invented the instrument. And it's sort of a cross between a jura, which is a type of saz type instrument. For those who don't know what a saz is, I probably have one here if you want to see it. I can go grab one if people don't know what a saz is, but it's a very common.
I don't know what a saz is.
You don't know it? Okay, let me grab it real quick so you can see it.
I might be the only one here who doesn't know what a saz is, but hopefully.
You are not the only one, Brian. Thank you for speaking up.
Right on. So while Tev is getting the saws, I think it's worth pointing out to Brian O'Neill that the numbers that I gave you were from Gloria Mizutani here, who's from Jackson Heights, which is the epicenter of the epicenter. So you were playing the zip code of the kind of heart of the coronavirus.
Yeah, so
and that's why you didn't like it, man.
This is a long neck saz. Uzun sap is what it's called. And you can see on the back, you can see these tie-on frets. And you can see that they're not just on the front side, right? They're wrap around the entire neck. And you can see that they're not equidistant either. There are some that are equidistant, but then there are a few frets that are sort of added onto the standard sort of equal distance frets. So this is a saz. And this is a...
How do you spell saz, Tev?
Is a combination between...
S-A-Z.
A saz
S-A-Z,
and
okay.
another instrument called a rabab. I'll grab my rabab so you guys can see what that is.
Tev has quite the collection of instruments from both the Middle East and Eastern Europe, and not Asia, the Balkan region. So, yeah, here's another one.
So this is a rabab. This is from Afghanistan, and of course it looks nothing like the jurabab, but it has the exact same string setup: 3 melody strings, a couple of drones, and then anywhere from 13 to 15 sympathetic strings that are tuned along the top of the instrument. And just to give you an idea of what this sounds like. Rabab. This is like the ancient ancestor to the Hindustani Indian sarod. And it's actually carved out of a single piece of, oh geez, I forget what the wood is that they use on this. Mulberry. And then the neck is attached afterwards, and it also has, it's a 2-chambered body that has this skin across both chambers. The neck is actually mostly hollow. And of course, it has all this ornate mother of pearl stuff all over it.
It has a great built-in reverb.
Yes.
With that chamber, it sounds like you've got a reverb built in.
Yeah,
Cool.
It's an incredible instrument. It's very earthy sounding.
Yeah.
And so the Jura Bob is a combination of really these two instruments. It's tuned like a rabob, but it also has the extra frets of a saz, and so you can use it for playing Afghan music or Turkish music or non-metered Zoom music.
Is it rabob short for Robert? Yeah. Silence. There was no laughs from the audience for that one.
We're all laughing. We're just on mute.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Just imagine all the laughter.
Any other questions? Maybe we'll have to pull out some other new stuff the next time we come together.
I don't see any others from the chat, but maybe as an encore, do a little quick go around and play something really fast like you did in the first one.
Oh, okay.
I bet anyone, any takers for a little more playing?
Little 2 minute ditty from everybody. What happened to Genny?
He's there.
He's not in my first.
He's making wisecracks in the chat.
Oh, okay. He's not in my first 5 squares. Oh, there you are. You move squares. How is that possible?
Magic.
Kenny, do you want to play? You want to go first? You want to play a little bass flute? Little contra?
Oh, do you guys want you want some contra?
Sure, play some contra. We'll pin
Raise
you
your
up.
hand so
Definitely.
I can definitely. Okay, cool. Just give me 1 second. I'm gonna mute it. Wait, I'm on shorts. I don't have any long pants. I'm on my underwear. No, I am kidding. I'm kidding.
While he's doing that, if for folks out in Facebook land, if you guys want to be able to join the Zoom, just go to remotelymusic.com and hop on the mailing list. So we send out the Zoom registration link to the mailing list first, so they kind of get first dibs. And if you just like to watch passively on Facebook, that's totally okay too. The next Remotely Music will be on June 19th. We're still figuring out what it's going to be, but we're just parking the date for now. And if you have ideas or things you'd like us to explore, again, feel free to email me. Just reply to any of the mailing list stuff. I get those, or brian@orchestrotica.com. It's been kind of fun to work on this with you guys and get your feedback on what you guys are into. So Genny's going to play a little
Brian,
bit.
did you submit the last concert as the Guinness Book of World Records first contrabass flute played on a hoverboard? Because I think there's a category for that
Please do
on Zoom.
submit that, please.
On or off Zoom, I think.
How's the volume? Can you hear me? Cool?
Yeah. I feel like I've heard that song somewhere before. Some band. Jeremy, do you want to do a little something?
Yeah, I can play some Rick. I can sort of show you what I had here.
Yeah, do a little.
Can you hear me
demo.
okay?
I don't think everyone here was at the first one, so yeah, do a little show tell.
Yeah, I'll try and not drop my laptop like I did during the sound check. I have some desk bells that are chromatic desk bells.
Sweet.
Yeah. So I had some pitches. There was a couple lines that were slow enough for me to sort of read and try and play at the same time. So I had our tonic note here, B, and there was a lot of D sharp. So
Nice.
yeah. I have some sound effects here. These little guys, I love those guys. What do I have? Triangle. Sizzle cymbal. Gotta love it. And then hi-hat sizzle. Little Chinese cymbal. Korean gong. Some key chimes. These are my new favorite thing. They're keys. Just keys.
Yeah.
But they resonate amazing. Love it.
Nice.
And these bells, floor tom, and that was it. But I can. How about this? I'll riff on some. That's what is that tune? Third River Rangoon. What is that song?
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's some Rick. How about that?
Excellent. Mike, do you want to play a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I'd be happy to.
I have to find your square. Wait, where's your square?
Here, I'll wave my hands.
Eric Hauser, that is quite a garnish on that cocktail, by the way. Check out Eric's. Wow, that is serious. Excellent. Sorry, got distracted by the cocktail. Let's see, where is your square? Where is your square? There you are. Okay. Yeah, shake your hands.
Yeah, right. My big white hands. You'll see them.
I think I forgot to pin Jeremy. Sorry, Jeremy. You everyone got to look at Genny while you played the Rick. So.
I'll spotlight Michael while he's playing here.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Oh, now I can see myself. How cool is that? Well, Tev gave me some big instrument envy. It's something that Tev's been doing to me for years. So, and actually, I have to say, this is my favorite instrument to play these days. So, this is called Yayla Tambor. I think you saw it in the first session, probably. It's also from Turkey, like the saz, another long-necked lute. Yay means bow, so this is the bowed tambor, played upright in the lap. It has some interesting construction things that are different than the older plucked tambor. The main one being this membrane head like a banjo. And then two, I'll hold it like this, you can see the sound post in there. So it's got a sound post like a violin family instrument. I'll just play a little bit of some Turkish makam music. Enjoy, my friends, wherever you are, sitting at your home. I'm sitting at my home too, and it's nice to make the distance a little shorter.
Thank you, Mike. That was great.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, excellent. Excellent. Tev, do you want to play a little solo on the Robert?
Yeah. Here, I recently wrote a piece for the Jurabob, so I'll try to make it through it.
Very nice.
Bravo, Ted.
Thanks.
Great job. That was great. Excellent.
Thank you.
You wrote that?
Yep. Yeah, new
Nice.
piece. I've been studying Hindustani music and on Rabab, and so that is in a rag called Kaushi Bhairavi. It's a rag that I've been spending a lot of time with.
Nice. Excellent. Well, I guess I'll close it out and play a little bit here. If there's no further questions, again, head over to remotelymusic.com. If you'd like to contribute something, we have a PayPal little donation link up there. So if you just go to remotelymusic.com, you can see that. We also have the store available if you guys are interested in purchasing some music. There's also like a live concert. I know a couple people had asked, like, why don't you just get together and play your regular stuff? And so I think we kind of covered that the internet's in the way of that. But there actually is a live concert from the Bali High in San Diego from a couple of years ago that's taped, and that's available. You can pay whatever you want to access that video in our store at Orchestrotica.com. So check that out if you're interested in hearing some of our regular repertoire. And I guess I'll just I'm gonna just play a little bit here. So play some vibes. Let's see. I don't know what that was. It was just something.
Beautiful, man.
Thank you.
That was awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you. I think we'll call it a wrap here. Please stay in touch with us. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Brian Dolan, my good pal, thank you for hosting us tonight. It's been great. Lots of fun.
Thanks. It was really great to listen to everybody. I think I'm speaking for everybody in the audience saying that was super awesome.
Good. Well, thank you so much, and please keep showing up. You guys keep showing up. We'll keep doing this until we can get back on a stage near you. The word on the street is it's going to be a while. I've been on a lot of calls this week with presenters and agents and artists and trying to figure this stuff out, and just the general sentiment is in most places it's going to be a while, especially for this kind of intimate music inside. It's probably still going to be a while before you're going to hear it in a live capacity. So this is kind of what we got for now, and stick around with us. So.
Well, thank you. Well done, all.
Yeah, thank you, Carl. Excellent. Reinventing the future, exactly. Cool. Well, thank you again, and we'll see you guys on the flip side. Cool. Take care, everybody.